A ruthless CEO is thrust into a dangerous conspiracy when his long-lost ex calls for help. But why? What happened to her? And why did she call him for help after 10 years? Is there something mysterious? His mind was racing in thoughts. But before we start, if you guys like this story, please comment below and subscribe to Story Storer. Please hit the bell icon. Thank you. The phone rang, shattering the eerie silence of his penthouse office. Lucas Hawk, CEO of Hawk Industries, had just put down a pile of contracts when his eyes locked onto the unfamiliar number flashing on his screen. His heart, accustomed to the rhythm of high-stakes business, skipped a beat. There was something unsettling about it. Without thinking, he swiped to answer. "Who is this?" His voice was taut with the pressure of the day. And then, that voice, soft, familiar, like a melody he had buried deep in his past. "Lucas? Sarah?" The word tumbled from his lips before he could stop it. His mind, normally sharp and focused, stumbled over the memories that came flooding back. She was the one person he hadn't been able to forget, no matter how many years had passed. "Yes," she replied, a tremor in her voice. "I didn't know who else to call." His throat tightened. 1,000 questions swirled in his mind, but only one made it past his lips. "Why now?" I need to see you. It's urgent." That was all it took. Without a second thought, he was out the door, racing toward the past he'd tried so hard to leave behind. Lucas Hawk had always been a man of ambition. Driven, relentless, and consumed by the pursuit of success. At 28, he had met Sarah, a bright and compassionate marketing strategist with a heart as warm as the California sun. Their connection had been immediate, magnetic, and undeniable. For a time, they had built a life together, filled with laughter, late-night talks, and dreams of a shared future. But as Lucas's tech empire grew, so did the demands on his time. Board meetings replaced dinner dates, and investor calls drowned out her voice. Sarah tried to hold on, believing love was enough to weather the storm of his rising career. But Lucas, blinded by ambition, drifted further away, convinced sacrifices were necessary for greatness. The final blow came when Lucas canceled their anniversary dinner to close a billion-dollar deal. That night, Sarah packed her bags and walked away, leaving only silence in her wake. Lucas's heart raced as he stood outside Sarah's apartment, 10 years after she had left. The city was quieter here, far from the towering glass monoliths that defined his life. He knocked, each tap echoing with unresolved memories. The door creaked open, revealing Sarah, older, wiser, but with the same warmth in her eyes. Her expression shifted between surprise and uncertainty, as though unsure if the man standing before her was real. For a moment, neither of them spoke, the weight of the years hanging between them. "Lucas," she said softly, breaking the silence. Her voice, though familiar, carried a trace of weariness. "Sarah," he breathed, his composure fracturing under the weight of memory. "Come in," she said, stepping aside. The apartment was sparse, almost temporary, filled only with the essentials. Lucas's sharp eyes caught the subtle signs of a life in flux. Packed boxes, half-folded clothes. "I didn't know who else to call," she admitted, her voice cracking. "It's about Adam. He's gone missing." Lucas's jaw tightened, the protective instinct he thought long buried resurfacing. Despite everything, he knew he wouldn't walk away. Not this time. Sarah's words hit Lucas like a punch to the gut. Adam, her brother, once a brilliant, idealistic dreamer, was gone, vanished without a trace. She explained how Adam had become entangled in dangerous dealings after uncovering illegal activities linked to a powerful corporate syndicate. He had tried to expose the corruption but found himself hunted instead. "I tried the police, but they're useless," Sarah said bitterly. "I've followed every lead I could, but now I'm out of options." Lucas's mind raced, calculating the risks. Years of running Hawk Industries had honed his instincts for danger, and this was peril on a scale he couldn't ignore. "Why call me?" he asked quietly. "Because I trust you," she said simply, her gaze unwavering. Her faith in him, despite their history, struck a nerve. Lucas nodded, determination hardening his features. "We'll find him," he promised. And for the first time in years, he felt something beyond the cold pursuit of success. He felt purpose. The next morning, Lucas and Sarah hit the road, following the first clue, a cryptic address Adam had left in his encrypted files. The journey was tense, filled with unspoken words. Lucas navigated the winding roads, while Sarah clutched Adam's journal, her knuckles white. "Do you think he's in danger?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have to assume he is," Lucas replied grimly. They arrived at a dilapidated warehouse on the city's outskirts. The place reeked of rust and decay. Lucas's instincts screamed danger, but he pressed forward, determined. Inside, they found a mess of papers scattered across a desk. Schematics, documents, and a list of names. Adam had been onto something big. Lucas scanned the files, his eyes narrowing. "These are corporate executives," he muttered. "Some of them are my competitors." Sarah's eyes widened. Adam was trying to take them down. Lucas knew they had just stepped into a world far more dangerous than they had imagined. Lucas and Sarah returned to the car, tension thick between them. "We need to be careful," Lucas warned. "These people don't play by the rules." Sarah nodded, determination replacing her fear. "Then we fight smarter." Lucas made a few calls, activating contacts he hadn't spoken to in years. Within hours, they had a list of leads and surveillance footage from the warehouse district. One face stood out. A familiar executive Lucas had once trusted. "James Whitaker," Lucas growled. "He's involved." Sarah's jaw clenched. "Then we confront him." Lucas admired her resolve, but knew the risks. "We need proof first." They spent the next few hours piecing together evidence, each revelation painting a darker picture of corruption and deceit. Lucas realized this wasn't just about Adam. It was about exposing a network that thrived on lies and destruction. And they were just getting started. Lucas and Sarah tracked Whitaker to an exclusive private club, a fortress of luxury and secrecy, where whispers of deals and betrayals thrived. Lucas's entrance turned heads, but he ignored the curious glances. His focus sharp. "Stay close," he whispered to Sarah as they maneuvered through the opulent crowd. They found Whitaker lounging near the bar, a glass of whiskey in hand. His smug expression faltered when he saw Lucas. "Hawk," he drawled, masking his surprise. "Didn't expect you here." "We need to talk," Lucas said, his tone steely. Whitaker's lips curled into a sly smile. "Ah, about Adam, I presume." Lucas clenched his fists. "Where is he?" Whitaker's laugh was cold. "You're in over your head, Hawk. Walk away while you still can." Lucas leaned in, his voice low and dangerous. "I don't walk away." Whitaker's eyes darkened. "Then prepare for war." Lucas felt the weight of the confrontation settle over them. The lines had been drawn, and he knew that this was just the beginning of a dangerous battle. Back at Sarah's apartment, the atmosphere was thick with tension and determination. They reviewed the evidence collected from their encounter with Whitaker. Lucas's contacts had come through, providing critical intel on the syndicate's operations. "We're close," Sarah said, hope flickering in her eyes. Lucas nodded, scanning the files. "We need one more piece of evidence to bring them down." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden, urgent knock at the door. Lucas motioned for Sarah to stay back as he cautiously opened it. A bruised and battered Adam stood there, eyes wild with fear. "They're coming!" he gasped, his voice trembling. "We have to go, now!" Lucas pulled him inside, adrenaline surging through his veins. "You're safe here," he assured Adam. "No," Adam insisted, shaking his head vehemently. "No one is safe." Lucas exchanged a grim look with Sarah. They had fought hard to get this far, but the battle was far from over. The syndicate was closing in, and Lucas knew they would need every ounce of cunning and courage to survive, and to win.